I started this whole thing here. So of how do you make a list of your parts? And that's really what's left to do tonight, because I think you could do it individually, as teams, whatever. We're gonna make 2 cabinets. So if you wanna do,
In going through your layout here, it appears to me, we've assumed that all the cabinets are side by side with a wall and a wall on either end. But you're gonna have some cabinets that are not gonna go to a wall, and you'll have a side piece that you put in.
these actually are no walls. These are like a freestanding cabinet.
Freestanding.
You can see both ends.
Oh, okay,
Now, if you're doing it wall to wall, I can individually show you if you want, or we can talk next week about, or even tonight with the camera off. Okay, you have a wall to wall. How do you put a cabinet in there and have it tight to the joint, to the edges? We can talk about that.
okay.
Big strips of.
Big
molding.
strips of molding, no. There's better ways. But yes, that is how they do it, but there are better ways. Is that what you're asking about?
Well, I'm asking about that, but I'm also wondering about the materials that you're gonna use to make these cabinets. Because if I'm making a cabinet and I want the outside, the doors all to be a nice wood, but the inside doesn't necessarily have to be a hardwood.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, what is the materials that we're using on the inside? You know,
For
if it's
these-
some kind of plywood,
for these
what kind of
cabinets,
plywood do we go down to the store and buy?
Okay, for these cabinets, I bought some 3/4 maple, birch maple or
Okay.
birch, okay? Now, in cabinets that I've made before, in the last 10, 15 years, they come out with this pre-finished maple. You can buy it already slicked on both sides, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so then you just simply put your edging on and
That's
stuff.
plywood still.
It's plywood, yes. I
Okay.
like plywood over particle board. I won't even talk about particle board. Okay? So we're talking plywood. So let's just say that you have oak cabinets on the faces, right? Your face frame or all your edging, your doors are gonna be oak. What happens at the end? You're gonna have a piece, you're gonna have to buy some oak plywood to make that finished end if it's visible.
Yeah,
And the rest of this is gonna be maple probably on the inside.
there's gonna be oak on the face, so you're still gonna have an edge that you have to do something with.
Right, if you have a European style, where you open up the cabinet door, you're gonna have an oak edge on a maple thing. Unless it's a finished end where you see it. Then it's
Yeah.
gonna be an oak piece of plywood.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Okay. Because you're gonna be making cabinets, that's one of the things you're,
that's what I wanna
Right.
do eventually, is
right.
to
I'm happy to help
make
when
my
that
own
time comes,
cabinets for
right,
the bathrooms or the
Right.
kitchen.
right.
But I have seen where the shell of the cabinet does have that slick finish that you're talking about.
Mhm.
And then I see other plywoods that are not slick, and
Right.
that's why I was wondering
Which
whether
one?
there's a
Right.
difference or how you choose
Right.
what you're making it out of.
Well, what we did for this class, because it's probably a little cheaper, is I got just basic maple plywood, no finish. And they're shop cabinets, who cares?
Yeah,
If there's something, important for a house, that you want some nice cabinets, you do want a good pre-finished maple plywood on the inside. You could even, if you wanted to do all oak interiors and exteriors, go at it. I don't see the point of that. But right now, the cost of maple and the cost of oak are the same price. So buy them all one. Buy all one type, because it's gonna be relatively consistent for thickness.
What I've been surprised to see, even in very high-end houses, was melamine
Yeah,
on the inside and obviously wipe it. But when it migrated all the way up into very expensive houses, that was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Pretty stable product.
Yeah,
It
it's
is-
just that when you're thinking of a 7-figure house, and I knew some guys, custom shop, doing the woodworking, everything from doors, through moldings, through cabinets and everything else. And one of the things they were putting in them that were specified by the architects, these were architect design, the melamine interior cabinet, instead of, and back years and years ago, between college and graduate school, when I was running jobs, it was all
Plywood.
maple veneered ply inside. Anything else, melamine, that was garbage.
Oh, it was.
And
Still is.
now, like I said, walk into a house that was $1 million plus,
Yeah.
and this was $1 million plus 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Now it's much higher. Open the doors, and it
Well,
was melamine.
The problem with melamine, you have two cores of melamine. One is MDF, medium density fiberboard,
Yeah,
and that's just like multiple cardboard compressed, right? Or you have particle board, which is, everyone knows what particle board is. So the problem with each of those kinds of materials is you can't screw into it in the edge, or it will just go boom like that.
yeah.
If you get a scratch in it or something and you get water on it, it goes like a sponge. That's the problem with those.
It was just surprising that
Yes.
it was being spec'd.
Yeah,
It was called out by the architect designing that product, and it was just,
yeah, yep, it's,
all the problems you said, plus the history of, if you opened the door and saw that,
Yeah.
you knew it was junk.
yeah. Okay, so let's get, real quick before the battery runs out here. Let's actually talk about, I will go through and measure and mark down a couple dimensions here on a piece, just so we have an idea of what we're doing. So, and remember, we're doing two cabinets. One is face frame and one is not. So, what I'm gonna start with is, and I'm gonna just start here on this piece of paper here. It's like, okay, so, we have, and I'm just gonna do a quick list. We have two sides. We have a top and a bottom. We have a back. That's a basic cabinet. There's some other stuff with it, it's like rails in the back, face frame if we're gonna do that. But those are the basic, there's 5 pieces of wood in this cabinet, and an adjustable shelf. So let's first talk about how do we come up with what the size is. So I'm gonna do, I'll do a bottom, okay? But I'm gonna say I have 2, and I call them T/B. 2, top and bottom, because they're the same size. Okay, so I have 2 of them, and they're 3/4 by, and the first thing is the depth, because the grain pattern is going left to right. Okay, as if it were a solid board, you wouldn't put your solid board grain going front to back if it was solid, because that would break. You know darn well that wood breaks with the grain. Plywood doesn't, but we have this mental image that it does. So we want the grain of the bottom of the cabinet. If you open up the cabinet, you're going to see grain going horizontal, left to right. So the first dimension then is how deep is that top and bottom. Okay. So we talked about it before that the cabinet back is going to go behind that shelf, that bottom. Okay. So we're going to take 1/4 of an inch off there. So from there I have from 1, and I'm going to say 12 and 3/4. Okay, 1 to 12 and 3/4 is really 11 and 3/4, because I started at the 1. So I have 11 3/4. Now, that's for a frameless cabinet. I also am going to put an E. Now this is my protocol. I put an E, and I know an E for edge. And I know that that E means the edge is going along the length of the piece, not the end where it goes front to back, okay? That just happens to be, I know that because that's how I do it. So I would say that. So it's 3/4 by 11 and 3/4, and then I would put by how long is it, and we know that there's a dado and a dado, so, and we know it's overall 18, we know we have a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, it would be 17. We can measure it, and just to confirm it, it goes 1 to 18, 17. Sorry, I think I said 18 before. It's 18, so minus an inch is 17. So, by 17, and I have to do with an edge, with W/E. That's 2 tops and bottoms. Okay? So, if it's a face frame, then I'm going to say I have 2, top and bottom, 3/4 by, and what is this one? This is going to be from 1, and we know that this is the face frame here. I didn't put the fake wood grain, but that's the face frame. And we know that then is to 12, which is really from 1 to 12 is 11 inches. So there's 2 different sizes. And then I put no E, no N/E, no edge, because that's a face frame. Because I know that there's going to be additional stuff on it. That's my thing. You can word it however you want. You can say no edge, you can whatever. But that's how I would do this these are two cabinets, two different dimensions for the same two pieces of wood. Okay?